Good morning. Welcome to DSS online classes. Children, today we will be practice the reading of the history chapter 5, that is when people revel 1857 and after, and find out some difficult words. So, let's start reading. Our first topic is policies and the people. In the previous chapters, you look at the policies of the East India Company and the effect they had on different people. Kings, queens, peasants, landlords, tribals, soldiers were all affected in different ways. You have also seen how people resist policies and actions that harm their interest or go against their sentiments. Our next topic is Nawab lose their power. Since the mid 18th century, Nawabs and Rajas had seen their power erode. They had gradually lost their authority and honor. Residents had been stationed in many courts. The freedom of the rulers reduced, their armed force disbanded, and their revenues and territories taken away by state. Many ruling families tried to negotiate with the company to protect their interests. For example, Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi wanted the company to recognize her adopted son as the heir to the kingdom after the death of her husband. Nana Sahab, the adopted son of Peshwa Baji Rao II, pleaded that he be given his father's pension when the latter died. However, the company, confident of its superiority and military powers, turned down these pleas. Awadh was one of the last territories to be annexed. In 1801, a subsidiary alliance was imposed on Awadh, and in 1856 it was taken over. Governor General Dalhousie declared that the territory was being misgoverned and British rule was needed to ensure proper administration. The company even began to plan how to bring the Mughal dynasty to an end. The name of the Mughal king was removed from the coins minted by the company. In 1849, Governor General Dalhousie announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah Jafar, the family of the king would be shifted out of the Red Fort and given another place in Delhi to reside in. In 1856, Governor General Canning decided that Bahadur Shah Jafar would be the last Mughal king, and after his death, none of his descendants would be recognized as kings. They would just be called prince. The peasants and the sepoys. Our next topic is the peasants and the sepoys. In the countryside, peasants and zamindars resented the high taxes and the rigid method of revenue collection. Many failed to pay back their loans to the moneylenders and gradually lost the lands they had tilled for generations. The Indian sepoys in the employ of the country also had reason for discontent. They were unhappy about their pay, allowances, and conditions of services. Some of the new rulers, moreover, violated their religious sensibilities and beliefs. Did you know that in those days, many people in the country believed that if they crossed the sea, they would lose their religion and caste? So, when in 1824 the sepoys were told to go to Burma by the sea route to fight for the company, they refused to follow the order. Though they agreed to go by the land route, they were severely punished, and since the issue did not die down, in 1856 the company passed a new law which stated that every new person who looked up to employment in the company's army had to agree to serve overseas if required. Sepoys also reacted to what was happening in the countryside. Many of them were peasants and had family living in the villages. So, the anger of the peasants quickly spread among the sepoys. Our next topic is responses to reforms. The British believed that Indian society had to be reformed. Laws were passed to stop the practice of sati and to encourage the remarriage of widows. English language education was actively promoted. After 1830, the company allowed Christian missionaries to function freely in its domain and even own land and property. In 1850, a new law was passed to make conversion to Christianity easier. This law allowed an Indian who had converted to Christianity to inherit the property of his ancestors. Many Indians began to feel that the British were destroying their religion, their social customs, and their traditional way of life. There were, of course, other Indians who wanted to change existing social practices. You will read about these reformers and reforms movement in chapter 7. Through the eyes of the people. To get a glimpses of what people were thinking those days about British rule, study source 1 and 2. Here is the source 1, the list of 84 rulers. Given here are excerpts from the book of Maharaja Parvaz written by Vishnu Bhatt Godse, a Brahmin from a village in Maharashtra. He and his uncle had set out to attend a yajna being organized in Mathura. Vishnu Bhatt writes that they met some sepoys on the way who told them that they should not proceed on the journey because a massive upheavals was going to break out in 3 days. The sepoys said the English were determined to wipe out the religion of the Hindus and the Muslims. They had made a list of 84 rulers and announced these in a gathering of all big kings and princes in Calcutta. They said that the kings refused to accept these rulers and warned the English of dire consequences and massive upheavals of these are implemented. That the kings all returned to their capitals in great anger. All the big people began making plans. A date was fixed for the war of religion, and the secret plan had been circulated from the cantonment in Meerut by letter sent to different cantonments. Now, the source 2 is there was soon excitement in every regiment. Another account we have from those days are the memories of Subedar Sitaram Pandey. Sitaram Pandey was recruited in 1812 as a sepoy in Bengal Native Army. He served the English for 48 years and retired in 1860. He helped the British to suppress the rebellion through his own son was a rebel and was killed by a Britisher in front of his eye. On retirement, he was persuaded by his commanding officer Norgate to write his memoirs. He completed the writing in 1861 in Awadhi, and Norgate translated it into English and had it published under the title From Sepoy to Subedar. Here is an excerpt from what Sitaram Pandey wrote. It is my humble opinion that these seizing of Oudh filled the mind of the sepoys with distrust and led them to plot against the government. Agents of the Nawab of Oudh and also of the King of Delhi were sent all over India to discover the temper of the army. They worked upon the feelings of sepoys, telling them how treacherously the foreigners had behaved towards their king. They invented 10,000 lies and promises to persuade the soldiers of mutiny and turn against their masters. The English with the object of restoring the Emperor of Delhi to the throne. They maintained that this was wholly within the army's powers if the soldiers would only act together and do as they were advised.